The U.S. national parks hide dark, terrifying secrets that the government refuses to put on any official map. If you ever find yourself lost in the deep wilderness after 9 p.m., survival is no longer about finding a trail or looking for the stars. It is purely about obeying the rules. Rules that were written in blood by the hikers who never made it back home. You have exactly 10 minutes to memorize these warnings, because out here in the pitch black, the forest is not empty, and it is already listening to your footsteps. Rule number 1 is to never trust the flashlight. If you are walking down a dark path and see a park ranger approaching you with a heavy, bright light, you must immediately check his shadow on the ground. If the flashlight beam casts absolutely no shadow behind him, or if his shadow remains completely still while his body moves, you need to turn around and run as fast as you can. A hiker named Jacob made the fatal mistake of ignoring the shadow back in the winter of 2024. The ranger smiled at him with a grin that stretched way too wide, showing too many teeth, and offered to guide him back to safety. Jacob followed him for 2 long miles before he realized the ranger hadn't blinked a single time, even when sharp pine branches scratched directly across his eyes. When Jacob finally looked down at the dirt, he froze in pure horror. The ranger's heavy boots were facing completely backward. If it catches you looking at its feet, the illusion shatters, and the last thing you will ever hear in those woods is the sound of your own bones snapping in the dark.
Rule number 2 is that you must never whistle back to the trees. The crushing silence of a midnight forest can drive a sane man mad. But if you suddenly hear a clear, human melody being whistled from the deep, thick bushes, you must cover your ears and keep moving. The entity hidden in the dark is mimicking the familiar tunes of old folk songs specifically to trigger your curiosity and lure you off the main path. A seasoned hiker named Sarah once heard a sweet lullaby whistling through the freezing air, and thinking it was a lost or injured child, she foolishly whistled the next line of the song back into the dark. The whistling stopped instantly. The air turned dead cold, and the giant pine trees began to shake violently as something without lungs but moving faster than a deer rushed toward her. It does not want to hunt you for food. It wants to violently steal your voice, leaving your empty, hollow shell to wander the fog forever, whistling the same tune to trap the next victim. Rule number 3 is the most cruel trap of all, because the road is always an illusion. When you are exhausted, terrified, and finally see the bright highway lights through the tree line, do not celebrate or run toward them. If the air suddenly turns cold and smells strongly of old copper, you have hit the hidden boundary of the woods. You will try to step forward onto the safe asphalt, but your hands will violently hit an invisible freezing wall built out of thin air. This is the ultimate trap, because the forest has already closed its jaws around you, and the lights you see in the distance are not cars. They are the massive, glowing eyes of the ancient entity waiting for you to exhaust yourself out of breath. If you panic, scream, or hit the wall, you will die right there. The only impossible way out is to turn your back to the highway lights, close your eyes tight, and walk backward into the pitch black woods for exactly 100 steps without looking back. Most people simply do not have the mental strength to do it, because the terrifying whispers behind them force them to turn around. And the moment they look back, the wall vanishes, and the forest swallows them whole. So tell me, if you heard that cold whistle in the dark right now, would you truly have the strength to stay silent?